To say that Doctor Doom dominates the Avengers, X-Men, and Fantastic Four is an understatement. This fight was over before it even started. So we are back with One World Under Doom, issue number 7. And if you guys remember the last video that we covered, right, there was the grand revelation to the world that what Doctor Doom was actually doing was using the lives of his own citizens in Latveria to power his spells. As Sorcerer Supreme, he was drawing on their life energy. And so that information, those images were broadcast out to the world. And now it's the fallout, right? Literally, you get this news report. Fallout continues from yesterday's shocking footage. Untold millions remain trapped inside the torturous machinery of Latveria after the Avengers were expelled, sparking protests around the world. Now, as you can probably imagine here, whenever it comes to political leaders in some capacity, you have those who support them and, of course, those who don't. And those who support them, depending on how firmly they support them, can have an almost religious conviction to their belief when it comes to this person. And that's kind of what you see here, right? 2 days in, this woman says his mask finally slipped. Not literally, but you know what I mean, right? Talk about insecurity. Dr. Doom freaking out, attacking Reed Richards because Reed Richards had shown those images, the cameras cut off, and that's where the last issue ended. But then another woman says, I don't get what the fuss is about. First of all, I don't think I've ever met a Latvian. So for her, the problem is over there. And because it's over there, it's not over here. And so the problem might as well not exist, right? Day 3, J. Jonah Jameson from his podcast. An anti-Doom protest was brutally put down today by Emperor Doom, a shocking end to the so-called Pax Victoris that left 96 dead and hundreds more wounded. Folks, I'm not used to being on the side of the protesters, but Doom's threat, his menace, is out of control. Then there's another woman in the same day who's interviewed. She says he didn't lose the argument, so he doesn't have to step down. It's not complicated. Some people willfully close their eyes to basic logic, right? Day 4, 2 reporters who were kind of talking about everything that's happened, right? Treason has always been illegal. All our emperor has done is make it crystal clear what treason is. Honestly, it's overdue. And the other guy says, agreed, free speech never meant freedom to slander. Maybe with these new laws, Doom's critics will realize that, right? Day 5, J. Jonah Jameson is arrested for basically speaking against Dr. Doom. Slander, right? Day 6, this woman says, Doom said those Latvians volunteered. They made their choice, and it was the right choice. Things are easy now. That's the whole point of civilization. Anyone who says otherwise is a liar. So you kind of have these circumstances where people who are speaking out against Doom, focusing on the revelation provided by Reed Richards and the Avengers, they're being rounded up and taken away. Everybody else is just lying to themselves. And so it's kind of the crazy thing, right? Because Doom on day 7 addresses the world and he says, Doom has perhaps tolerated the dangers and unpredictable vigilante heroes for far too long. Unfortunately, the demands of running the world mean I cannot give every matter my personal attention. So he's effectively backing off from being a hands-on ruler the way he's historically been. And then on day 8, a reporter comes out and he says, an explosion at Stark Tower today followed dozens of letter bombs being delivered to the residences of Dr. Stephen Strange, Jennifer Walters, Clint Barton, and several other criminal vigilantes whose identities are a matter of public record. Police are refusing to bring charges, citing the fact that nobody was seriously injured. The addresses of these vigilantes can be found online. So not only do they refer to these superheroes as villains, vigilantes, they in turn tell people where to find their locations. And what this is all kind of pointing to is a very simple concept. In times of desperation, people will believe what they want to believe. Logic and reason plays no factor in it. And so what you do is you pick up on day 9, Dr. Doom in a foreign country, the world turning against him. They launch an attack. Dr. Doom on the 10th day kills everybody. And so at that point, you jump to the Impossible City, the home base of the Avengers. And that's where you kind of get this more top-down perspective. But the great thing about One World Under Doom, what makes the story so incredibly fascinating is that once you kind of zoom out and look at everything that's going on, you don't really know what's true and what's not. For example, Tony Stark says, the last reliable info we had before Doom demolished the uprising showed that his support was falling rapidly. The world is finally seeing Doom for who he is, but that does not mean that we've won. Now, is that a true statement? Is Tony Stark looking at information and in an effort to galvanize hope among the various superheroes who are out there believing they can win this fight, the information isn't entirely accurate? More people support Doom than the people who are against him. Or is it truly more people are against Doom than people who support him? Do we really even know what those numbers are? It's one of the great things about stories like this because it's kind of left to interpretation. But Susan Storm says, unfortunately, Tony's right. Doom claimed he wanted to help the world, but the truth is he only ever sought glory. And now, as that glory slips between his fingers, Doom finds, as all tyrants do, that he will be satisfied with power. And so at that point, you switch over to Maria Hill. Now, for those of you guys who are playing catch-up here, you're probably familiar with Maria Hill. Nick Fury isn't really the Nick Fury that we're traditionally used to in a lot of ways. The comics have done what the Marvel Cinematic Universe has done, which is he's just kind of been shuffled off to the cornfield. So we have no idea when he'll ever return in a meaningful way. But Maria Hill's kind of picked up the slack that traditionally, if this story was written 15 years ago, would have gone to Nick Fury. And so she says, we have a chance here, right? For the first time, we face a Doom distracted with uprisings, and we're united and we have momentum. But when Doom ends these uprisings, he also ends our last best chance to defeat him. And so she says, we're going to attack all at once. We have one shot and we're going to hit him with the full might that this world can muster. And so it's everyone. The Avengers, the X-Men, the Fantastic Four. You're talking about the Spider Society, right? So like Spider-Gwen, Spider-Man, Beta Ray Bill is here. You even have MODOK, right? Like all of these superheroes are uniting to face off against Doom and even some of the supervillains. And so here's where things get really, really fascinating. You switch over to Valeria Richards. Now, Valeria Richards, right, the daughter of Reed Richards, she doesn't really have powers in the same way that Franklin does, but Reed Richards, Valeria, and Dr. Doom usually rotate the #1 spot for who the smartest person in the Marvel Universe is. So when Valeria is watching something, she's not watching things emotionally. She's watching things objectively. You know, for her, there's not really a huge investment in it. I mean, her parents are there, right? But she's able to look at things in a way that most normal people are not. They get their emotions tied up in it all. And so she says, the Avengers, the Fantastic Four, the X-Men. I'm Valeria Richards, and as I watch, as the world watches, each of them, all of them now come from my godfather. And she says, months ago, he came to me to justify what he was doing. He told me he sought glory. That glory is now dead. All that is left is power and control. And as I watch Doom take the ruins of his castle, using them first as missiles and then to crush the heroes, I can see that his plans have changed. We watch it all from our farm in Arizona. Now, here's a crazy thing. You've got Ben Grimm's kids alongside Valeria and Franklin, and they're all kind of talking about everything that's going on. But what's interesting is everyone but Valeria actually sees what's happening here, how this fight is truly unfolding. Because everybody's saying things like, Doom will fall before all the superheroes. And when Valeria says, actually, I'm not sure that he will, even Franklin is just kind of like, you're not saying that Doom can take on the whole world. I mean, he's just like one guy. He's got a T-Rex, but still, he's just one guy. And the statements continue on, right? He's Sorcerer Supreme Franklin, and he's had months to prepare. But the news said S.H.I.E.L.D.'s secret files are being used in the attack. All the heroes are combining their powers with each other's in new ways. Attacks he has not seen before, therefore they are attacks he cannot defend against. But that's where Valeria chimes in and says, but he is defending against them, right? Look at him. Uncle Doom is winning. And so that's when you jump over to the fight with Doom and everyone else. And that's the crazy thing, right? I mean, looking at this overall battle, they are combining their attacks, right? Cyclops, Captain Marvel, Iron Man, and Scarlet Witch, all blasting Dr. Doom with their varying forms of exotic energies. And it doesn't make any difference. He's literally wrapping them all up in a ball and sending those beams either back at them or sending them flying away. Juggernaut is brute strength, who of course is able to take on the Tyrannosaurus Dr. Doom, but still, right, at the end of the day, as soon as he's hit, by Juggernaut. When he goes flying, he immediately marshals himself, and then in turn, takes out all these superheroes on the spot. It is a colossal battle. Like, it's crazy watching this happen. The very fact that he's effectively doing what you saw Magneto doing in Fatal Attractions, manipulating the adamantium in the body of Wolverine himself. But again, this idea of Dr. Doom turning his energies on everybody else, everyone trying to launch an attack towards him, Squirrel Girl, Laura Kinney, X-23, none of it makes any difference whatsoever, because they're dealing with a level of power that they simply cannot go against. And Doom has this amazing monologue where he says, "A world's army, a world's fury stand against me. It is insufficient. And yet the tiniest of slips, unnoticeable to many, to most, is noticed by him, Richards, Reed Richards. He sends a devastating attack from the front, and I parry, yet reserve certain resources for the coming attack from behind. And then next, you try to strike me from above. Yes, and as above, so below." And he says it is eminently predictable. But the funny thing is, there's something he didn't predict, that Dr. Doom is hit by an attack from below and sent flying into the astral plane. Now, for those of you guys who are unfamiliar with the astral plane in Marvel Comics, it's changed a lot over the years, but the concept behind it is fairly simple. The astral plane is simply the mindscape, as you or I might call it. It is a place where individuals can do battle on a psychic level. Now, you can physically travel to the astral realm and walk around there in a physical body, but 9 times out of 10, it's just old school stuff from Marvel, right? You know, the Shadow King and Professor Xavier fighting each other psychically on the astral plane. But still, right, Doom says, the astral plane, a new front in a new dimension. And so he just says, show yourself, right? Because Reed isn't readily available. But then Reed manifests, he appears here, and he looks like the Sorcerer Supreme, right? He's got the cape, right? His outfit's completely changed. It looks dope, right? And so Dr. Doom says no, right? Not him. He could never stretch his thinking enough, but he has. The world's oldest, stupidest dog has finally learned a new trick. And Reed explains what's going on. He doesn't leave any of us hanging, right? He says, "I'd hoped that revealing your true face to the world would lead you to step down, Victor, and I was wrong. So plan B. Since this started, you've been winning, simply because you've been more powerful. Every step of the way, you've been wielding a weapon that I do not understand. Magic, right? Time, magic, dark magic, Sorcerer Supreme magic. But I've been studying it, building up a table of its repeatable properties. It's periodic. Did you know that? I have a real problem with magic, but I'm great at science. I've been building a new science, Victor, and do you know what my favorite part of science is? It's that anyone can wield it. You do not need to be special or chosen. You don't even need to think that you're a god. You simply need to put in the work. And that's what I've been doing since you started this whole nightmare, learning, harnessing. And so here I am on the astral plane, having studied how you defeated Dormammu. And I know I can still stop this. I know that I can fix this. So it's Sorcerer Supreme versus Scientist Supreme. And Reed goes in for the attack. And here's the crazy thing. It doesn't make a single bit of difference. It doesn't make any difference at all, because Dr. Doom studies all of this. Now, one of the things to keep in mind about Victor Von Doom is, yes, Dr. Doom does have the power of Sorcerer Supreme. He's had it ever since the events of Blood Hunt. But also keep in mind, he was practicing magic and sorcery long before that. So it's Reed Richards, who's just learned how to ride a bike, engaging in the Tour de France race with a guy who's been riding his bike his whole life. And so Dr. Doom just says, ridiculous, laughable, gormless. He is a clown, clumsily playing at godhood. Even as he attacks, he tries to talk to me, debate me, and distract me, and I ignore it all. Even so, for a man of Richard's staggering limitations, just being here on the astral plane is a remarkable achievement. Remarkable in the same way an animal driving a vehicle is remarkable, but it is nowhere near enough. He says he's already told me his weakness without even realizing it. Dormammu. He's attacking me with spells I invented, thinking they might somehow overwhelm. He is a child, dressed in his emperor's clothes. He is a forger and a thief and a clumsy, entitled, ambitious pretender. He's Uriah Heep, ripped from the pages of Dickens. And as we grapple, his eyes seem to take on every shade of color that could make eyes ugly. I correct him for his hubris against his emperor. I move him into an infinitely iterated fractal dimension where every cell of his body is stretched farther and farther. So far, in fact, that they can no longer be traditionally measured. And finally, I remove us both from the astral plane, forever sealing it from him. The two of us return to Latveria, to the battlefield, and then Reed begs, which makes sense, being thrown into a dimension where quite literally his body is pulled apart on an astronomical level within moments, seconds, right? Feeling that extreme pain and then thrown out of the astral plane back into this place. Dr. Doom doesn't care about his begging, right? He says he begs for mercy. Richards begs for my mercy. And he says, but to the victor belong the spoils. And so Dr. Doom just looks upon Reed Richards' body and says, you will not die, Richards, but I promise nothing more. With that being said, guys, we're going to bring this video to an end. Yeah, man, he dominated everyone. Like, he dominated everybody. I told you, this battle was over before it even started. It's nuts. It's one of the craziest things. So yeah, guys, let me know what you think down in the comments section. I gotta tell you, man, between the absolute universe, the ultimate universe, and one world under Doom, we're eating good, son. But yeah, I'll catch you guys later. Peace.